Okay, so let's start. Thank you for coming to listen to my mini presentation. I'm going to introduce you about in the topic, researchers and student news reporters working together for disaster risk reduction. We did an event, a joint event, working university research institute and a newspaper company working together. So I'm going to introduce about it. Okay, background, why we started this event. At the time of Great East Japan earthquake in 2011, actually role of researchers were highly questioned because I work for research institute and lots of researchers could not convey what citizens wanted to know at the time of disaster. So the society got had a turmoil, and actually at the result, trust towards researchers decreased. Statistics clearly showed. So after that, we started to believe, okay, it's very important and even duty for researchers to convey what we have found to society, to have trust. And but after 6 years after disaster, society began to forget about the disaster already. So we have to keep remembering what's happened so that we can prevent the next disaster in the future. Okay, so to address the issues, we decided to have an event, a university research institute, IDRC Tohoku University, and a newspaper company, Asahi Elementary Newspaper, planned an event in which researchers and elementary school children work together for disaster risk reduction. So I'd like to introduce the two parties that collaborated for that event. The first, IDRC Tohoku University. It's a place I work for. It's a research institute founded 1 year after the disaster, 2011 disaster. And we have a mission to never repeat a tragedy. So about 100 researchers are working together, both in science and in humanities. Researchers work together to invent more studies for disaster risk reduction. And our partner for this event is Asahi Elementary Newspaper. They found the company in 1967. One of the pioneers in newspapers for the youth. They have wide readers ranging from elementary school children to high school children. And they have really wide readers, and they publish more than 80,000 copies per day. So what the company and the research institute planned was using one day during the spring break. We invited children who are readers of the newspaper company, and also they are reporter for the newspaper company. So there are 16 students, news reporters of Asahi Elementary Newspaper who joined this event to consider how to achieve no tsunami victims they considered for themselves by doing field work with researchers and interviewing researchers. So basically in the morning, the school children visited disaster-affected areas guided by a researcher. And they asked questions, and the researchers explained what's happened and what's going on after 6 years. And in the afternoon, children visited the research institute, IDRC, to learn about what researchers do. And furthermore, they wrote articles by themselves about what they felt and what they found. and they published that in Asahi Elementary newspaper later in April. So I'm gonna show you what we did using the images. So that's spring break, March 29th this year. And this is Arahama near here. And he's a specialist on tsunami engineering, and he's explaining how tsunami attacked to that area. So this is our school, which is preserved to keep the memories of the disaster. And the city of Sendai people explained on site. And this is an evacuation tower of tsunami, from tsunami. So children and their parents and us visited the building and studied what is preserved in that building, how it operates at the time of disaster. So children age ranges from first grade to the sixth grade, I believe, and now it's in the university institute. So another researcher is explaining about his research. He uses 3D to show how disaster happens. So wearing 3D glasses, children learn. And he's a specialist on disaster archive. So he's showing disaster records and explaining how to keep memories of disaster. And he is a director of our research institute, Dr. Fumihiko Imamura. So he had a dialogue with children and made a comment. So at the end, there was a workshop, and children thought about answers to the question we said at the beginning. Okay. So this is an article. On the right, it's a Asahi Elementary newspaper article on that event written by adults. And on the left, there are children's articles written by children themselves. Okay, so after this event, there are many positive effects, obviously. And for children's side, what was positive is first, of course, they got to know university research activities which they are not so aware of in their daily lives. And secondly, they were able to learn disaster-affected areas and disaster studies helped by specialists, and they were able to consider how to proceed disaster risk reduction for themselves. So it was very good, I believe. But it was also positive effects on researchers for adults side as well. Firstly, so specialists learned how and what children think related to disaster, which we are not so aware of in our daily lives. And so I asked them, so how was it? And the researchers answered me. So they were impressed about children have their own answers, considering for themselves. So, and secondly, it was also became a very good training for researchers to convey their research to society using simple words. So, of course, there's often criticism that researchers use jargons and difficult words, and they have significant findings, but they don't know how to convey properly to society because we have different we use different words. But through a dialogue with children, it was a really good training to convey simply what they have found. Okay, so conclusion. So we believe this joint event between Research Institute and this newspaper for children was a very meaningful opportunity for the young generation to learn about the 2011 disaster and disaster risk reduction in general. Also, it was beneficial for researchers because they learned about the perceptions of the young generation, and also because their research activities were conveyed widely to the society through our daily newspaper for school children. So it was really, we are thankful that our research were got to know by many children. So that's all. Thank you for listening. Thank you.